Welcome to another episode of Saline Speaks. I'm Chase Stanton, the station manager here at SCTN, and today I have the privilege to be joined by Dave Ringe, who's an officer with the Saline Police Department and is now the student resource officer for the schools. So thanks for coming in.
Well, thank you for having me.
So I figured we'd talk a little bit about your history with Saline and then how you fit into this new role here with the schools.
Okay. So I started working with the Saline Police Department, got hired in 1993. And obviously when you get into police work, you go through the field training officer first to get acclimated into the position. And at the time, Officer Herb Payne, who was doing a lot of the school work from being involved in the Safety Town program and other programs in the schools. And so after about having maybe 2 years under my belt, experience-wise, I had an interest in that type of work that Officer Herb Payne did. So. And pretty much chief at the time was Paul Bunton. He put an email out, anybody interested in the school programming. So myself and there was Officer Bridget Seams. So we put our interest in. At the beginning I went through a crime prevention school, which was held over in Detroit PD. And then shortly after went through DARE school along with Bridget Seams. So that was in '96. So that was my start of my involvement with the schools, is not only with Safety Town in the summer, but also with the DARE program.
And how long did DARE run for again?
It ran until about 2014, so almost 2 decades roughly. How we would fundraise is the 24 Relay Challenge. We did a joint venture with the schools. And then there was the DARE golf outing we would do to raise money. And during that time, I think it was 2009, if my guesstimate's right, I went through another training called TEAM, which is a Michigan State Police program. Teaching, educating, and mentoring is what it stands for. It's very similar to DARE. It's more broad in topic. You can talk about drug prevention, but there's also other topics on safety that you can educate youth from grades kindergarten all the way up to high school. But what I was using it for were grades K through 8.
And so you've always had some kind of involvement with the schools, with youth, kids, Safety Town. What's your career been like? So before we started, you mentioned Saline Police Department pretty much the whole time.
So pretty much road work, handling calls for service, but also, doing work with the schools in kind of like a big partnership. Yeah. So we've always had a very nice partnership with the schools, working together. Safety Town when the kids were really little, all the way up until like middle school. And even when the high school was back in the city, which is now the middle school, I would even help out there too. So, yeah.
Yeah, and so for anyone who doesn't know, because the high school's technically in the township, we have a resource officer from the township. But now you're covering in your position the middle school and pretty much everything except
any schools in the city, which includes the Liberty School building, which has the alternative ed program, and even your special needs programs, and there's even a preschool run out there, Pooh Corner and all the other.
And so how did talks to get that position started kind of begin? And
it was even back, our current chief, Jared Hart, came from Novi, and what was kind of benefit with, he was a school resource officer back in the day when he was at Novi. But even before him, I think even Chief Rennick and Paul Button, they were always trying to jumpstart a resource officer position, and there was always some snags. It was budgeting issues and staffing. I mean, we're still trying to get, our staffing levels are kind of low, but there are a lot of factors. But now we were able to finally partnership with the schools, which is outstanding, having this resource officer position. So now that allows our department too to hire another full-time officer, hopefully maybe 2, and it's great. Now I feel like now I'm like the Officer Herb Payne. So I enjoy what I'm doing, and now I can even look at some of the other officers as they grow, and maybe they might be interested in where I can hand off the torch. So
that's great. And so what exactly does your role involve? Because I see you hopping around between all the buildings.
So I try to, like the term nomad, but I try to be random. So I set up my schedule where I'm at one building, maybe that given day, be it Pleasant Ridge or whatever elementary building or middle school, and I kind of just am in the hallways, just kind of meet and greet, and I'm also observing the lunch hour shift. So I'm kind of like another role model, just another assistant for the administrative staff there. So, and like a lot of the kids, because my involvement in the past with DARE, the team lessons, and Safety Town, so I'm a familiar face to them, which is neat. It's a great partnership. And then I can even extend working with the families too in the community. It's just a win-win.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And then obviously no one wants to think about the possibility, but if there ever were any kind of incident, you're
Right.
available and
Yeah,
ready.
Any type of an emergency, I'm there on campus. In fact, I've got even issued a radio for the school, so there's that immediate contact, or they can even contact me by cell phone. So yeah, it's just another. Speaking of resource officers, obviously we have a great partnership and relations with Pittsfield Township PD.
Mm-hmm.
So now that you already have a resource officer here at the high school and at Harvest, now it's just, you just double punch. We can work together even with them. If
Yeah.
issues come up here, a lot of times if an issue happens at Harvest or the high school, it might be related to the schools in town, so we work together, which is neat.
Yeah, so just another extra layer of
Yep.
safety.
Exactly.
Is there anything else you'd want people to know about your role, what your fit is within the schools and community that they might not know?
Well, some people, maybe there's that perception when you get the police in there, all we are there is to maybe enforce the penal code. Always,
Yeah.
if we do counsel a youth, that we're always going to want to petition them to the juvenile court system. That's not always the case. I mean, even in my training, through Darren, and I actually went through a school resource officer training that was provided. It was about a week-long training. The goal is, and it's always been, is the benefit of the child. Okay, that's our main goal, just like the administration, and it's just amazing. We're just kind of like a backup for the administrators. If they have an issue with behavior, or if it turns out to be a criminal matter, I mean, still the goal is to try to work with the social workers, and boy, there's all these social workers, they are a saint for all the work that they do behind the scenes, the counseling staff, even the teachers and the principals. So it's just work what's in the best interest of the child,
Yeah.
And I make it a habit, for example, when I do visit the lunch hour shift, I'll actually sit down, and yes, I'm a survivor of school lunch. It's been excellent lunch, by the way. And I'll sit down with those kids too, and you kind of build up relations that way.
Yeah.
And especially if maybe it's a student that you see them sitting off by themselves, and not really. So I'll kind of make friends that way. And not only the young ones, I'll even go to middle school and even the alternative ed program as well. So.
Yeah, and then just building up that relationship with
Right.
the city and the schools, and letting kids see you as a person.
Right, because that's what I like about the Safety Town, because that's probably the first exposure that some of these young ones see of a police officer. They think we're always in a police uniform. I try to make it a habit of, during that program, for example, there's days where they see me in the uniform, but then I'll put on a pair of shorts and I'll wear a Safety Town shirt. So currently I'm going to try to do the same with the older grade levels, middle school. Like right now, I'm wearing this uniform primarily right now, but soon I'm gonna. If you've ever seen Officer Sean Booth, he'll wear like a polo shirt and
Yeah.
a pair of Dockers. I'm gonna probably do something similar. I'll mix it up. One day I'll dress down just so they can see that I'm a normal person too.
Yeah. And so we mentioned before we started, you do have information on the school websites,
Right.
right? And then also through the City of Saline website?
Right, just cityofsaline.org.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, so if anyone has any questions, and then you have an email now, too.
Yes, I
right?
do. So I do, at the city level, there's a city email. If you even visit the website for the city, and even on the Saline Schools website, and I think I'll be found, my contact info might be under the Liberty School contact list.
Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect. Is there anything else you'd want people to know or to
Nope.
say before we're done?
Well, but I want to thank, again, the schools for this awesome partnership. I mean, it's amazing. And the support of the community, too, because I know there has been a huge support from the community as well. So, I thank you.
Yeah, well, I think you're perfect for the fit. So,
All right, appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for
All right,
coming in.
No problem. Anytime.